We got some weather coming in, but I wanted to share with you something that's been on my mind. Everybody keeps saying that the right needs young, sharp, well-spoken voices, men who can stand up, who can speak clearly, men who can rally the youth, men who can shake the system, and who can pull this country back from the edge of destruction, men who can mobilize the next generation the way that the left did with that Mamdani moron over in New York City, right? And they're right, and we had one. A young conservative voice who was grounded, who was articulate, and who was willing to stand up for traditional values. Someone who could have shifted the entire political landscape and perhaps even become the next president of the United States of America. But look what happened. The same people who preach tolerance and inclusion, right? Well, they turned violent the minute that somebody challenged their worldview. Big surprise there, huh? People send me videos every day that perfectly illustrate how their coexist slogans are meaningless. Just look at how they behave the moment that they're confronted with inconvenient facts. What do? They get hostile, or they shut down. They refuse to continue the discussion, or they lash out and they try to attack you, right? These people are unhinged. If they're being interviewed on the street, you've seen these things, right? They try to grab people's microphones, or they try to attack them. I mean, am I the only one who's noticing this stuff? Because to me, it's weird how they constantly blame the people with old school values like me. You know, like love thy neighbor, treat everyone how you'd like to be treated. But no, they're not following any of those logical rules. No, they blame those people for all the upheaval in the world. They say that those people are responsible for all that is wrong with society, right? They call those people extremists, right? What the actual fuck are we talking about? You clowns got propagandized by good old Barry Sortero, who's better known as Barack Obama, into thinking that somehow, because we wanted to stick with the values and the logic and the convictions that we were brought up upon, like maintaining ethical morals, like what made this great American nation the #1 tourist destination in the world, because that's what it is. It's a tourist destination, and these people are getting sent back home. And joking aside, I'm talking about the principles that this country was founded upon, instead of some weird progressive bullshit that somehow conservatives are the problem. I'm done playing the game where the same people who pretend to have the moral high ground with their stupid fucking coexist stickers on the back of their Subarus, that they didn't just attack him. They celebrated it. You think you people are right? It's crazy. You made jokes. You laughed about it because that's who you are. That's not a game that I'm going to be playing. And hear me clearly when I say this. I'm not here to play the right versus left game either. I'm not going to be a clown in that circus. I stand where men with logic, men with morality and strength, and where men with patriotism have always stood. I stand on the side where people uphold the traditional values that made this country what it is. I stand on the side of law and order. I stand on the side of truth, the side where you live with conviction in those beliefs. Okay? And that's exactly why the actual extremists on the far left began panicking. They began panicking because a strong, young, grounded, level-headed, logical thinking conservative voice emerged. They couldn't have that. A voice that they couldn't debate. Dude was level-headed, and he made his positions clear. And more often than not, he turned hard-edged liberal leftists into rational thinkers. How crazy is that? And if you've got your heels dug in and you're on the left, well, shit, you just can't have that. And it's not because he was right-wing. It wasn't about sides. They panicked because he was effective. And now that he's gone, these lunatics are even more disconnected with reality because they didn't realize that by offing him, they created 1,000 more CKs in the process. That's where we're at. These people are too hopped up on SSRIs to be cognizant of their errors, both morally and judicially. They have no mental compass to make decisions because, well, they act and they behave on emotion. Emotion that has been installed in their brains through propaganda. Good old Barry, he knew that would happen, which is why he signed into law the National Defense Authorization Act in 2013 that steamrolled the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948. Stick with me here. I'm not trying to lose you. If you stuck with me so far, you can stick with me a little bit further. And I'll keep it simple. The Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 was created to ensure that after World War II, the U.S. government could never use the enormous powers of propaganda on its own citizens. Still with me? Yeah? Okay, so our favorite president, right? Favorite president created the National Defense Authorization Act to repeal the Smith-Mundt Act in 2013. And ever since, well, you've been fed a steady drip of propaganda. Do you get it now? So if you're wondering why people behave the way that they do, or why they're behaving so weird, why it's so hard to connect with your own family members who have TDS, Well, this is the reason. And a young man who stood with him instigated that. Not his fault, just his belief in traditional values. And that's just it. A young man with discipline is a threat. A young man with conviction in his beliefs and faith in God, that's a threat. A young man who refuses to detract from his own moral compass, a young man who refuses to adhere to the absurdly intolerant leftist agenda, well, he's a massive threat to them. So listen, we didn't want to talk about politics, but you pushed, and you pushed, and you pushed until we didn't have a choice. And that's the truth of all of it. They can censor, they can smear, they can deplatform, and they can target individuals like me. But they can't destroy a message, and they sure as hell can't stop a movement. This country is 249 years old. Most empires don't even make it past 250 years. They rot from the inside when good, strong, solid men stop leading. It's like the saying goes. I think it's something along the lines of strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. And the chaos and destruction that ensues, well, it destroys everything in its wake. That's why empires decay and they die. So look, I'm not here to divide this country any further than it already has been. I'm trying to put it back together. I'm not a Republican, not a Democrat. I'm a logical thinking, good-natured man. But I realize that most people have chosen sides. And I'm okay with that. But what I won't support are the people who chose the side of chaos and destruction. And I think it's pretty clear which side that is. I'm here to wake people up and to snap them the fuck out of it. This country needs more strong men who are willing to speak up. Men who refuse to stay silent. Men who will defend their values openly, not behind closed doors. Men who put their families and their country before their comfort. This isn't about politics. It's about leadership. It's about America. And if the lunatics on the left think that silencing one voice is going to stop the rise of millions and millions more, well, they've underestimated the spirit of this great American nation. Tell you that much. Stand up. Speak with conviction. Be the man that your grandfather would have been proud of. Men bled and died for what this country represents. This country needs leaders. So be one, because nobody's coming to fix this problem. Nobody's coming to fix the mess. We've already been infiltrated. Our representatives don't represent us anymore. Stand with me and the rest of those of us who see things clearly. Let's reinforce and solidify this great American nation before it crumbles into ruin.